All right, we are going to make cute little booties, okay? So in the winter time, it is so hard to keep little feet warm. Socks fall off, socks are too small around their ankle. I have a cute little 4-month-old that socks don't fit because one, they either fall off or around the ankle it is too tight and then it looks painful when I take them off. So I am making cute little booties that will fit her just nicely. All right, I am going to walk you through how I made the pattern and lost my train of thought. I'll walk you through how I made these, okay? Super easy, by the way. Okay, put that off to the side. I have a onesie that currently fits her. And I am going to use it as my pattern. What you're going to want to do is grab a piece of paper, okay? You want a pencil, and I am going to pull this out as best as I can, lay it on the piece of paper. I'm going to stretch it out, okay? Kind of tuck that in so I can kind of get down there, okay, to trace it. So we're going to just trace it, all right? So I have it sprawled out. And now I want seam allowance. So I am going to go out. Just do the best you can. You know, little swooshes with your pencil work really well, okay? And you're going to trace it down to where you can get to it. Now, this is in my way, so I'm going to turn it around. Now, we stopped on the other side of the ears, right? I'm going to lay this out to kind of just gauge to see where I'm at, all right? To line it up. Tuck it in, straighten, tuck in, straight, okay? That's about where I want it, okay? And so we're going to just keep going around. And we're going to connect it, okay? There's your foot. Now, for the top part, it's a little bit bigger, right? So we're going to do it opposite. Flip your page around. Fold it out. Okay, then we're going to trace it. It's all right if it's not going to look perfect when you're tracing it, okay? I'll show you how to kind of clean it up when we're done, all right? The cute little ears in my way. Okay, something like that. Level it up. Okay. and just connect it. Okay, so you got your toe and you have your foot. I'm actually going to go a little bit further, all right? So because I'm going to turn this over to make a lip like this, okay? So I'm going to actually go just a little bit more. You can use a ruler, whatever works for you, okay? So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cut this out. Okay, there's one piece. Okay, there's your other piece. Now, there's a couple ways that you can make it a little bit more even, I guess, if you would like. This is already not too bad. There's a little bit of a lip here and a little bit of lip here, okay? That's fine. When you go to sew it, it will all equal out. Now, you looked at it that way. Now, why don't you put it together this way, and we'll check it this way as well, all right? That's still not too bad. If it is off, take your scissors, cut it, okay? That's still not bad. Look on both sides. That's not bad. All of this little bit will get smoothed out when you go to sew it, okay? That one's good. Now, this one, what we want to make sure is that it's a little bit bigger. Hopefully you guys can see that. Just a little bit bigger, okay? Because you want room. You want like a little hood. You want room, okay? This is your flat part. This is just fleece, okay? This is just fleece. It was one of my daughter's leftover scraps that she let me have, okay? And that looks pretty good. Now, again, if you want to see if it lines up well enough, fold it in half, okay? That looks pretty darn good. I might just tidy that up just a little, okay? Now you're done with that piece. What we want to do is, I had my tape here. Give me a second. I'm not sure where my other flexible tape went, so I'm just going to open this one up. What I want to do is I want a seam allowance, okay? You're going to put it at the toes together, all right? Kind of level it out here. Find something decently heavy, put it on there. Now I want a 1/2 inch. There's better ways to do this. This is what I have. I'm using what I have. I want about a 1/2 inch overhang, okay? So here's a 1/2 inch, and here's where it is. I'm going to hold it there, and we're going to trace the heel, okay, with our tape, Kind of just walk it around until you get about another 1/2 inch. Okay, so that is about 5.5. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that. That's just 5.5 around. All right, 1/2 inch for being tucked in. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to grab a new piece of paper. This is going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to use my squares. Okay, so about a 5.5 inch. I think, because I can cut it down later as we sew it, I'm actually going to go to 6 inches just to make sure I have enough. I can cut it down. I want to make sure that it's in far enough into the toe. So I'm actually going to go just bump it up to 6. As I sew it, I can cut it off. And I will show you what I mean when we get to that point. Okay, so count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's our mark. Now, here's the other thing that you want to figure out. For the back part, you want a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch seam allowance, but you want enough to go over the heel, right? I went with, let's see, that is approximately 1 1/4 inch of a heel. Okay, so 1 1/4. You want to think, okay, this is about a 1/2 inch turned over, but I want it wide, so we're going to double it up. So that's 1 1/4, so that will be 2 1/2. This is 3 1/2 with this included. That's like 3 1/2, and then a seam allowance of a 1/2 inch. So that is 4 inches. I'm sorry. That will be, so 1 1/2 is 1/4. So 2 1/2, 3 1/2, and then it's 4 inches. Okay, 4 inches wide. So we're going to go up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and mark it here. I hope that made sense. Let me go over this again. This is a 1/2 inch, but I folded it over, so it's a thick piece. Okay, I'm just going to use my piece right here. Okay, this is 4 inches wide. Folded over, you have a 1/2 inch of a tunnel, okay, that we're going to be putting our elastic in. And then you have your 1/2 inch of a seam allowance, so that's 2 inches right there. And then you have your 1 1/4 inch. Anyways, it equals up to about 4 inches. Let's see. Yep, that's 4 inches. Yes, that's what it was. This is 1 1/4. That's 2 1/2. Okay, and then a 1/2 seam allowance. Continuing. All right. So it does not have to be, again, super perfect. Just, you can, if it makes you happy to draw across straight lines, go for it. Okay, I'm just going to cut this straight down. Okay, and that is going to be my piece. Okay, now I have already, that's it, that's all. You just made your pattern. Super easy. Now, I've already made this one. I've already made a pattern. To match it pretty closely, I'm going to use what I have. So I'm going to just set those off to the side, and I'll show you. Okay, here's my piece I cut out. Here's my other piece that I cut out. And here's my third one. Okay, this is as an end a side end. You can see some of the dots on there, sewing dots. That's fine. It's going to be turned over. Nobody's going to see it. Okay? Now, the other thing that we're going to want to cut is this was, what did I say this was? This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. This is 6.5 inches wide for mine, okay? I think I said this one was 6 inches. I ended up cutting off a 1/2 inch on that, and I'll probably do the same again. I want 6 inches of elastic, okay? Just line it up, use what you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And cut it off. Those are all of our pieces. Now, let's go to the sewing machine and put it all together. Okay, we are at the sewing machine. We have all of our pieces. What we want to do is we want to start with the toe first. Okay, I want a 1/2 inch of a seam allowance. Okay, now we don't have to start and stop, or start and then go back, because we are going to be sewing over it multiple times. I'm just gathering up my string here, moving my needle. All right, I'm going to place this in, and we're going to stitch straight across all the way down. I'm going to hold my strings. Whoa! Okay, all the way down. Cut off our tails, okay? So you want to roll the nice side over to the back side, okay? And we are going to put the right sides together now, okay? Line it up as best as you possibly can. Okay, I'm just looking down here to make sure it's about level, okay? Take it to the top. That looks pretty good. So what we're gonna do is take this, I'm going to actually pin this with my handy dandy clips. My mother-in-law got me these, and I like them. They come in handy. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line this up. We're going to line this up and stitch around, okay? Right sides together. And remember, you have about a 1/2 inch of a seam allowance, okay? Ooh, my tail is short. Hold my threads off to the side. Okay, I'm gonna hold them and help the machine start to go. I'm gonna change my tension here actually. Okay, unclip. Follow it around. Got a little bit of a knot here wrapped around my needle. Just gonna pull it out and I gotta figure out this tension part. Something happened here. There we go. It wrapped around funny. I promise I don't normally have all this trouble. It knows I'm filming, so it's going to be a little tricky. Okay. Now we're going to finish putting it together, okay? I'm going to start back over some stitches that I already did, okay? Still make sure we're about lined up, okay? Getting a little bit of a gather there. Okay. And then all the way to the end, okay? I'm gonna back off. Up. We're going to cut all of our tags, all right? Man, I don't like pulling on the needle there. There we go. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take this side. Now, I want the wrong sides together, all right? Just kind of line it up, and we're going to give ourselves a 1/2 inch of a seam allowance, okay? Now let's cut this side off. Okay. So far, it's looking pretty cute. Now what we want to do is this is going to be attached. Let me think about this. This is going to be attached here, and we're going to go around and attach it here, okay? So we kind of want to find the middle. So fold it in half, grab our cute little clip. This is our halfway point. About find your halfway point here on your shoe or booty. That's pretty darn close, and I'm going to clip it there, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to lay this, and look, that's just a little bit over. So here's our end. It's a little bit over, and that's what we want. We want it to be tucked in, but I'm starting on the wrong end. So I'm going to follow it. Oh, so that's not quite the middle. So I got to that side real quickly. This might be where I cut off just a little bit. Okay, so here's our end. I want it over just a little. Okay, so we're going to start with that. Okay. I'm going to go slow because this is a little bit thicker. I am going to go back stitch, a couple stitches, okay? Gonna line this back up over here. Just trying to get through that thick part there. Now don't forget to turn as we go. There we go. Okay, line up and turn. Okay. Line up and turn. Line up and turn. Okay, here's this. So I'm going to tuck this extra little piece of fabric over and lay this down. Now, I do have extra, and I went over, let's see, I went over a little bit more than an inch. So here's this part, a little over an inch is right there. So I'm going to measure. So right here is my end. So I'm going to measure, yep. So I'm going to cut off. Let me grab my scissors. Okay, so here is our mark over. I'm going to cut off this much right here, okay? I have better scissors, but they're dull. I need to go get them sharpened. Okay, and I just ran off a little bit. Well, let me back stitch actually. There we go. Alrighty, we are almost done. I like these really quick, easy little projects. I don't normally have a whole lot of time, as my 4-month-old needs a lot of attention at the moment, as all 4-month-olds are. And then I have a 1-year-old. So they trade off. So I don't have very much time here and there. So I like these little quick projects. All right, let's turn it inside out, or right side in. Okay, getting close. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to line these ends up, okay? I want about, let me get my other cute little booty. So in here, I cut a little spot. So let's kind of figure out how wide that is. And we can match up. Okay, 3/4. It's about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, pull these off to the side. Here's about my middle. So I'm going to go off of that. Okay, I'm going to line my ruler up, and I'm going to make a little bit snip here and a little snip here. Okay, I like that placement. I'm going to put my thumb there so I don't lose it. Now don't cut all the way through. Okay, kind of just find a little snip. Okay, and then go up and go down. You don't want to cut your stitches. There's my first cut. Super easy. And I don't need to stitch it or buttonhole it because this is fleece. It's not really going to go anywhere. Now here's my second. I'm going to put my thumbnail there as my mark. And I'm going to cut up and I'm going to cut down. If I can find my, maybe I didn't go all the way through. I did not go all the way through. There we go. All right, now I am going to get my elastic threader. Okay, I'm going to go on this side first. I'm going to thread it all in. Okay. Oh, too far. That's fine, we'll redo it. Now, don't go all the way through. It would be helpful. Okay, I'm gonna just clip you right there. See if you'll hold it for me. Now, let's make sure that we don't twist it. Okay, we want it flat all the way around. Find your first hole, stick it in, find your second hole. Okay, make sure we're not twisting the elastic as we go through. Okay, undo it. Now, I cannot quite get it under to sew it up. So what I am going to do is I have string and a needle. This is super quick anyways. Doesn't have to be fancy. I overlap it just a little, okay? Overlap. All right, and I'm going to stick and sew this. Now I don't want my little knot to go through, so I am just going to thread it through the loop, okay? And I'm going to go up and down once, all the way through, okay? Couple of stitches down and then a couple stitches back up. Okay, last one down. and I'm working my way back up, okay? And now I'm going to tie it off. So I stick it through just a little piece, and I stick it through both loops. I'm just making a little knot. I do about 3. Oh, got a little loop, so I'm going to try to find which piece of thread. Just not going to go, is it? That's fine. This is my 3rd loop anyways. Tightened it before I straightened out that loop. It's all right. That was my 3rd one anyways. Okay, I'm going to get another piece of thread. I like working with this tiny little thing. I like working with a shorter thread, okay? It doesn't seem to get nearly as gnarly. Okay, I'm just gonna wrap it around. Pull my ends out and cut my ends off, okay? Now, we're gonna do it to the other end because remember, we have a little bit of overlap, okay? Straighten it out, make sure I have it even. And I'm just gonna go back and forth, okay? All the way down. Again, nobody's gonna see this. It doesn't have to be super pretty stitches, okay? Now I'm going to do one last bottom stitch here. Now I'm gonna work my way back up, okay? I'm at the top, turn it over, and now I'm going to knot it, okay? Alrighty dighty. Last one. Put my needle away so I don't end up with it in my foot. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this to the back. Okay, so I grab this side and I pull tight, and then to release it, pull this. Okay, even it all out. Kind of feel it. Yep, it's back there. And then just kind of stretch it back out. And guys, there's our little booty. How cute. How cute are those? All right, that's it. Super easy. I love these little projects. And we will see you on the next one, okay?